Today I am going to explain to you about the meaning of capital output ratio. Okay, now you listen carefully. Capital output ratio is also called the capital coefficient, and it is very important to examine the quantitative relationship between capital formation and income growth. So this relation between how does the income increase and what is the relation between the formation of capital is important, because for development you require both capital formation as well as growth of income. Now, this ratio has been used very much as a tool of policy formation and planning in developed as well as less developed countries. Now, how do we define capital output ratio? Okay. You must know the definition of capital output ratio. So, the capital output ratio may be defined as the relationship of investment in a given economy or industry for a given time period to the output of that economy or industry for the similar time period. You listen again. It may be defined as the relationship of investment in a given economy or industry for a given time period to the output of that economy or industry for a similar time period. Now, you must remember one thing, that capital output ratio is not marginal productivity of capital. So, you don't confuse this, that capital output ratio is marginal productivity of capital. So, sometimes a question, objective question may come for 1 mark, that is capital output ratio and marginal productivity of capital the same? Yes or no? Okay, yes or no. So, you have to write the no option because they are not the same. Now, there are various types of capital output ratio. I am going to explain to you one by one, and I'll also give you the note which will be attached with this lecture. So, you listen. So, number 1 is average capital output ratio or ACOR. Okay, ACOR or average capital output ratio. Now, all these abbreviations you'll get, ACOR, ICOR, all this you must know the full form, because the full form often comes in the exams. So, number 1, we come to average capital output ratio. Now, it is defined as the ratio of existing capital stock to the aggregate level of current national output. Thus, ACOR is equal to K by Y. So, what is K? K is the capital stock and Y is the current national output. So, it takes into account all the investment that has taken place and the national output. Now, we come to number 2, marginal or incremental capital output ratio. So, as you are from economics, so you must know the meaning of marginal, no? So, what is marginal? One extra, no? One additional unit is the marginal. So, here we are going to discuss about marginal or incremental capital output ratio. Increment. So you know what is increment? That is additional. Marginal is also additional. Increment means also additional. So ICOR is the additional amount of capital or investment needed to produce an additional unit of output per unit of time. Thus, ICOR is equal to delta K divided by dy, where del K is equal to I. It is the addition to the capital stock or investment, and del Y is the addition to national output. Now, if we are talking of the whole economy, we have a given plan period in view, so that the plan covers n years. Then ICOR is equal to summation of IT divided by YT plus N minus YT, where T plus N is the terminal year of the plan. This concept of capital output ratio is used most frequently in planning exercise in LDCs. Now what is LDC? LDCs are less developed countries. Okay, now we come to the third number, sectoral capital output ratio. Sectoral. So it relates to sectoral investment to sectoral output. Now what is sectoral? Sector mane ki? Sector mane ki? Khondo. Hane nohoy? Etu hoise ki khondo bhittik buli lobo lagibo. So it relates to sectoral investment to sectoral output. The sectoral marginal capital output ratio shows the additional investment that is needed at the sector level to attain a unit increase in output in the sector. Thus, K1 is equal to I1 divided by delta Y1, where K1 is the ICOR in sector 1, I1 is the investment in sector 1, and del Y1 is the increase in output in that sector. For sectoral investment planning, the estimation of sectoral ICORs is necessary. Then we come to number 4, aggregate or country-wide capital output ratio. So here the average of all the sectoral capital output ratios is taken. So if we look at the additions to output that take place as a result of additional investment at the sectoral level, then a weighted average of the three sectoral ICORs with the sectoral output serving as a weight would yield the aggregate of the countrywide capital output ratio. The Harrod-Domar model makes use of the aggregate capital output ratio. Then we come to net capital output ratio. Since capital output ratio reflects the relationship between capital and output, it is necessary to isolate capital cost changes in output from other changes resulting from factors other than capital. The term net incremental capital output ratio is used to cover only capital cost changes in the factors like trained manpower, entrepreneurship, etc. In other words, net ICOR has ceteris paribus assumptions, namely that supply of all other factors are held constant. So, what is ceteris paribus? It means all things remain constant. Okay. Now we come to the number 6. Number 6, that is adjusted capital output ratio. Here, the relationship between capital and output takes cognizance of the fact that additions to capital are accompanied by changes in other output yielding variables also. Thus, adjusted ICOR associates output changes to changes in capital or investment, recognizing that factors changing the output are many, capital being one of them, perhaps the most important one. So this, you don't have to go into the details of all this, but you must remember that the abbreviations, that is ACOR, then ICOR, net ICOR, all this you must remember. Now we go to the capital output ratio for developed and developing countries. Okay, so this we don't have to go into all the details of it, that but we must know that this ICOR is very much important in planning and estimation of all other plans and strategies for developed and developing countries. Now, the question often arises is whether the ratio can be expected to be nearly the same for the developed and the developing countries, or would it be higher or lower for the developing countries, developed countries, and lower for the developing countries. So this debate has been going on. This debate has been going on for ages, and various economists they just have their different views. Now we don't have to go into the details. Now let us see what are the uses of capital output ratio in planning. So planning is important, no? Because it is one of the most important things, instruments of economic growth, and it is academic circles often refer that all countries should undertake the path of planning. So what are the uses of capital output ratio in planning? It is number one is it is used in plan formulation. So just one or two lines you have to write down. So the use of ICOR is sometimes made to answer some preliminary and macroeconomic questions. Okay. Now number two, it is the basis of investment criterion. Capital output ratio is the basis of investment criterion. It has been noted that some economists like Pollack and Buchanan have advocated the use of ICOR, incremental capital output ratio, as an investment criterion. And so they say that the less developed countries should minimize the ICOR or maximize the capital turnover. Now next, number 3, to indicate trends in factor combinations. The trends in capital output ratio pertaining to particular sectors and to the economy as a whole over time provides some insight into the trends of factor combinations as to how the factors may be combined. So this much of labor, this much of capital, this much of land, this much of so on. Okay, so particular resources and how to maintain the growth rate of the country. So you just remember that the use of capital output ratio in planning are 3. Number 1, in plan formulation. Number 2, basis of investment criterion. And number 3, to indicate trends in factor combinations. Now, another thing you must remember is that no instrument or no strategy or no theory is without any defect, no, in economics. So in the same way, for capital output ratio also there are certain limitations. So limitations or demerits or drawbacks. So supposing in your question, if instead of limitations, it may be the question may come drawbacks. So it may come what are the demerits. So you just don't think that this thing has not been taught in the class. Okay, so it means the same. তাৰমানে অসুবিধাসমূহ কি, ক্যাপিটেল আউটপুট ৰেচিঅ'ৰ অসুবিধাসমূহ কি, সেই কথাটো আমি অলপ জানিব লাগে. নাও the points you just know. The number one limitation is the problem of cooperant factors. In the capital output ratio, output is related to capital in a certain predictable manner only. If cooperant factors, that means other factors like trained manpower, entrepreneurial ability, infrastructural facilities are available. But in underdeveloped countries, the supply of cooperant factors cannot be taken it for granted. See, in presently, can we take anything for granted in Assam? Can we take anything granted in Sirang or in Bijni? No, we can't. No? So, we cannot take anything for granted. How can we say that we'll get trained manpower? How can we say that there is infrastructure facilities? How can we just take it for granted about entrepreneurial ability? Now, we come to number 2, that is too much emphasis on investment. The concept of capital output ratio lays too much emphasis on investment for expansion of output. So it's only for investment, no? Insistence on investment implies taking a too mechanical view of the problem of capital formation for development, which comprises growth plus change. So this is also one limitation, okay? Then third comes the problem of time lag. The investment in the concept of capital output ratio relates to current year, while output relates to some year or years in the future. It may be the future or it may be the past also, no? Because some things, certain production starts now, but we get the result say after 1 year. So this is also one limitation. Besides, there are also certain difficulties in the measurement of capital. Then we come to number 4, that is not much suitable for making investment decisions. It's not very much suitable for taking investment decisions. So how can we say that this much capital output ratio you give and then you will get this much product, this much tons, and everything will be fine and you will get this much of earnings? It's not like that, no? It's not much suitable for making investment decisions. Now, so this is the discussion, and we must remember that the limitations suggest that certain precautionary measures or certain cautions must be taken in making the capital output ratio as a tool of planning. Okay. Now, with this, this is your which paper? This is your 4.2 paper. No, 4.2 paper. So often objective questions come on capital output ratio, and I'll be giving you the notes. You write it down, and I am giving the notes from Economics of Development and Planning by Taneja and Mayer. So together with this clip, you will get the notes. Okay. Thank you.